demonstration of Terran from the IM house here today. It is Yoda versus Pippijung, also known as King, on IC Cup Test Bug.
Alright, so here we go. There is King spawning as our red Protoss player at the 3 o'clock position on IC Cup Test Bug. His opponent is going to be our only Terran player. I'm Yoda spawning as the Terran player at the 7 o'clock position on IC Cup Test Bug. I'm so happy to see a Terran. I don't even play Terran really anymore, and I'm happy to see a Terran player.
Yeah, I'm always happy to see Terran. I just want to see them win as well.
Well, we'll have to see
and
if
see things that
happens.
I can copy.
I don't know. Does the little control N thing work on these replays?
No, it does not.
Oh, because they're older versions. It's too bad.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing it in.
Oh, well, it's okay. We don't need that. We know who these guys are. We never get the names of players mixed up, do we?
Unless it's the same race, and I just think colors are wrong.
Right, right. So I'm Yoda, otherwise known as Master Yoda. He's not really known as that. He's actually just a StarCraft 2 player.
Shouldn't it be Yoda MI? How did he
Yeah,
speak?
I guess it kind of would be, yeah. Yeah, Yoda, if you wanted to actually talk like Yoda. Yoda talking about how he's going to 2-0.
Or Yoda
King,
IM,
probably.
sorry.
I don't know.
Alright, so we have a barracks coming down on 12. No sort of fast gas play, so nothing crazy. Very standard so far. Bit of good manner talking between these guys. Now, this is IC Cup Test Bug. They've never actually played this map before, so we might see some not completely refined builds coming out of the two of them. We also might see some sort of cool, interesting strats as well. I hope we don't see any sort of 4-gate coming out of the Protoss, because that just is no fun to watch.
Well, it's fun to watch if you're like a big Protoss fan. Then you're like, yeah, die, Terran.
Yeah. A little part of me dies every time I get 4-gated. So I have very little left.
A little part of you and a big part of your army and your mineral line and all that. Maybe building it too. But what I'd really like to see I'm Yoda do is some sort of early bioaggression just to kind of set up an expansion. I think that's kind of the best, most stable opening against Protoss right now. Go, probably 2 racks, one with the tech lab, just one with nothing. Get the slow really fast, put on a little bit of pressure and expand. I love doing that against Protoss. It's almost a surefire way of being able to get up that expansion and kind of make it to the mid-game. Even if the Protoss player is 4-gating, if you do that little push early on with the 1 SCV, the 1 Marine, and 2 Marauders with slow, you can do so much damage if the Protoss isn't ready to micro against it. So I'm secretly hoping we see something like that. We are actually seeing a bunker go up, though, for our Protoss player, so, or not Protoss player, for our Terran player. I'm doing it now. So it looks like we're going to see probably something a little bit more tech-heavy, maybe even something more one-basey. But honestly, I really think that bunker's unnecessary right now. That's way too early.
It is very early, but what you can do is you can get this bunker up. You know you have it. You're safe for a little while, and then from accidentally putting the SCV in there, just trying to go and break, but deciding that's not a good idea. He's actually putting up 2 bunkers, so he is going to be very cautious against the 4-gate. He might actually be trying to throw down an in-base second command center to
Possibly.
get it up, defend against any potential 4-gate, and then float it over later.
He's getting such a large amount of gas, so that I really feel like he's probably going to be teching to something crazy, but we're going to find out. Yeah, actually getting a reactor and a tech lab, so I think we might see a very fast stim come up for him, and then possibly once he has a good amount of units out, expand behind that. But I suppose he probably thinks he needs the bunkers because the reactor takes so long to build, which I can kind of see, but yeah, it is going to be slow actually before stim.
And this is a pretty common build on the Korean ladder. What you do is you get out a Marauder, you get slow. If they do any sort of non-4-gate aggression, you can actually punish them for that and chase down their units and kill them quite easily. And now we do see the second command center, like I was talking. He is building it very close to his mineral line. It makes it harder to scout it, and it makes it so that you can saturate your main mineral line quite nicely. But it takes a little bit longer to float it over to your natural when you're prepared to do that.
Yeah, so that's something to definitely consider too. Looks like not a whole lot of aggression from a Protoss player. The fact that there's a sentry there kind of says that he's not going to 4-gate. Usually if you see a 4-gate coming in from Protoss towards a Terran player, there's not going to be really any sentries. It's going to be all Zealot Stalker. So that's a good sign for Yoda right now. He doesn't need to be quite as worried. And there indeed is the expansion going down for King.
In addition to seeing that sign that you were just talking about, he did also do a scan and saw exactly what was going on. He sees the 2 gates in the Robo, but now we see 2 more gateways being thrown down, so it might be not the stereotypical 4-gate, but it might still be a very aggressive gateway opening. He is getting an observer out, so he can use that for blink vision later, or he can use it just follow the army around, make sure nothing crazy happens, make sure they're safe against cloak banshees or anything like that. Of course, a lot of force fields going down, cutting off the army. Didn't actually get the kills that you really want to get this early in the game. That was a lot of cost of energy there, so it's not as easy to put up a second wall. The last Marauder in that force was taken out, however, there's 2 more reinforcing here, so he should be okay.
Now, those sentries don't have a lot of energy, but it's enough that I'm Yoda should pull back. Without stim, it's very, very difficult to kind of maneuver effectively around those force fields. Not to mention, there's the Observer. Oh, nice snipe with the Observer. Great spotting there, seeing that against the sand. It's actually very difficult to see that sometimes. So, yeah, Yoda playing pretty impressively, trying to get things stabilized for his expansion. Drone escaping just in time there.
Yep, and the second orbital command is up, so his income rate is going to skyrocket in a short while here. Because of that, and because he knows that King here, or Pippijung, however you want to say it, is expanding himself, he knows he can safely expand. From there, he's throwing up his factory to get the reactor, then to be used for the starport. The reason for this is you can get out 2 medevacs very quickly to heal your bio armor, so you can be a lot more liberal with the stimming. You can also do some sort of drops if the Protoss player isn't prepared for it. And more importantly, if they start transitioning into Colossi, you can switch to getting a lot of Vikings out, which you really, really need to do. Or those Colossi destroy your bio army.
Well, a lot of Terran players these days are just kind of blind teching right up to Vikings. Now, obviously, Yoda's scanned and he knows that there's going to be, well, he's got a pretty good sense anyway that there's going to be Colossi by seeing that Robo Bay. But a lot of Protoss players have actually been kind of taking advantage of the Terran players blind teching to Vikings and going for something like a really fast Zealot leg charge lately, so you can kind of surround the bio. It does extremely well because your Vikings basically then are more or less useless.
Yeah, that's very true. The Vikings on the ground are terrible, so other than taking out Colossi, you really only have the anti-Stargate play to use them for.
Yeah.
So just avoiding the Stargate completely from the Protoss is not a bad idea.
You know, interestingly enough, there is a Twilight Council going down for a Protoss player, so he might indeed be going for that Zealot leg speed. That's usually something that usually augments a Robo army pretty well. Have your Zealots charged in, especially if the Terran player decides to get tanks. Won't apply quite so much in this game, but this will be useful. He might also be getting it just for upgrades as well. Factory floating valiantly over the base there. Oh, force field that ramp. He wants that factory to die.
And a little bit of a force stim there. It's not going to be terrible because he does have the medevacs, but you really want to save up as much energy as you possibly can on these medevacs for later in the game.
Oh, yeah.
There's also this observer following the bio army around, so he knows exactly what's going on. Blink coming down. That blink isn't going to be critical in any sort of major fight because he does have a lot of non-stalker units here that would just die if the stalkers blinked away. However, it does give him the mobility to do a lot of harassment because IC Cup Test Bug has this backdoor entrance that you can kind of get up with Colossi, Reapers, or Blink. So we can see a lot of interesting pokes going in and out depending on how the game progresses.
Now it looks like Yoda is indeed getting his engineering braid to get upgrades going, but there's a Dark Shrine coming down somewhere. There it is for our Protoss player. And this could be pretty bad because right now the engineering bay is just about finishing, but no turrets going up right yet. If I'm Yoda is smart, he's going to put a turret at his natural choke point, and probably one up by his mineral line as well, just to make sure he's pretty safe. Looks like a little bit of bio has gotten into the base, though. They're going to kill off some drones. A couple drones going down there, so that's going to hinder the economy of our Protoss player a little bit, but the Zealots will clean it up fairly quickly.
Oh, and he just barely doesn't scout the Dark Shrine going up. That's going to be quite bad for him. There's also leg speed like you were talking about before, so he's getting a lot of gateways, he's getting a lot of gateway upgrades, and he's just able to produce a lot of different things depending on what Yoda ends up doing here.
Yoda moving in with that stim bio army. Force field preventing a little bit of it from getting through, but with stim you can kind of circle around the outside. I don't think it's going to be enough bio for Yoda, though. The Immortals doing so much damage to those Marauders. More force fields going down right now. It is only Sentries and Immortals right now with just a couple Stalkers, so some reinforcements. The bio army might be able to break it, but for now Yoda does pull back, kind of playing it safe here. And right now, both players staying pretty even.
Yeah, so there are these other pylons going up around the map. What that allows the Protoss to do is warp in Dark Templars just like this. You can get them all over the map to get map control and to be able to sneak units in depending on where the bio army is. Ideally, he would wait until the bio army gets moved out a little bit, but this turret is going to go up, so he needs to get in before that happens. And that is beautiful
the turret
timing.
Basically just finishing, but the DTs run right past it. The turret range just doesn't have enough to see them. Oh, the mule dies immediately. The DT's going after the mineral line as well. Are there more turrets being constructed in the main base mineral line? There are actually not. DT's going after the supply depot right now, going after the starport. There are DTs everywhere. Meanwhile, up at the natural for the Protoss player, it looks like Yoda's moving in right now. That's pretty beastly force. King trying to defend right now with some DTs. Very, very good. He's going to need a user scan to keep that army alive. And right now, King just looking in a fantastic position. Mining completely stopped, I believe, at the main expansion. Probably the natural as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Yoda has no detection out. He has no energy force scans. He just got it on his main command center. Is able to take down these 2 Dark Templars, but the damage has already been done. There's still another Dark Templar destroying a lot of the production facilities of Yoda, as well as another one. Nope. He actually used a ghost to EMP and reveal that way. He's just doing everything in desperation move. A little army in here poking in from King. He's going to be able to take down this engineering bay and prevent the +1 upgrade for the bio, which is actually huge in a situation like this.
That is incredibly huge. If you can take that engineering bay down, that could change the course of the game. Although the SCVs are coming off the line, it looks like King is going to be pushed back for now, but wow, such a close game right now. What's the army tab look like? Maybe it's not as close as I think it is. Oh, that's pretty close, 78 to 66. What's the income tab look like? 55 to 44, so Protoss ahead there, and getting a secret base over at the 9 o'clock position as well.
And the reason for this game being as close as it actually is, because it did seem like it was more in the Protoss' favor, was that there was a really nice drop going on while this Dark Templar were harassing.
Oh, wow.
And that drop was able to take down a lot of the gateways, so King was really forced to have decreased production throughout this entire fight. So he does have a pretty big surplus of resources here that would have been put into units otherwise, and then those units would have been able to very easily take this game. I still hear some Dark Templars doing something. I think, just destroying the rocks here. Try to open up this Zelnaga tower to be able to see exactly what the Terran is doing.
Yeah, those DTs are going to be a constant menace for the rest of the game. The really nice thing about DTs in PvT is that the Terran player basically can't move out until he gets a Raven. So we can do drops and things like this, but overall you're not going to see that big force moving around the map too often. So 4 Marauders being dropped off, are they going to be able to cause any damage? We'll see. It looks like if they micro against those delts, it should do okay, but attention may be focused elsewhere. The Stalker getting taken out as well. Possibly the second Stalker, and those Marauders at least killing some units before being taken out completely.
Yeah, the damage was, there was a good trade-off in damage done there, but it wasn't really what Yoda wanted to have happen. He's a little behind in economy. He's only on 2 base compared to 3 right now. His tech's a little bit behind King's tech. Seeing Storm is coming out right now. There's Dark Templars on the map that are getting map control. You really can't move out without a Raven, and there's not even a starport on the field. So,
wow,
not going to be good. As soon as he scouts that this other base is here for King, Yoda is going to feel very, very bad about this game. Yeah. Might actually just GG right there, or go for an all-in desperation move.
It's possible, but man, yeah, there's really not a whole lot that the command center can do. And he's like, yes, I'm going to land at the island. I'll be so safe. Oh, it's already taken. That's not going to work.
You cannot build command centers on top of Nexi.
And those cannons might actually kill that command center if it's not careful. Nope, continuing to go on. Move along. Nothing else to see here. Gadarin Amulet being researched by a Protoss player. This was, of course, pre the last patch. So played a little while ago. Factory returning home valiantly. It was like, I saw the enemy base, and I've come back to tell you that it's much bigger than ours.
That's depressing.
Yeah.
Should have just gone completely different direction, just defected from here.
Escape to Wisconsin or something.
Is that an escape?
Well, it was a show in Wisconsin about, like, tourism stuff. It's called Escape to Wisconsin.
I don't know where Wisconsin is. So.
Really?
It's somewhere in the Midwest. That's all I know. North, mid, west area. I only know the coast. And here the battle comes in. Beautiful storms taking out almost the entire bio armies of the Terran player, and he does just GG.
Wow, yeah, the storms plus speed zealots equals end of game. Man.
Here we go. So our first game is going to go in favor of Pippijung or I Am King, depending on what season you're talking about.
There's so many kings around lately. There's Marine King, there's Random King, Sen is known as Zerg King in Taiwan, and now we've just got King. He's just King.
He has I Am King.
I'm King.
Well, there's a lot of different kings. Now, if they were the Emperor, there should only be one Emperor.
That's true. Well, Emperors are above Kings, I think. Sounds like it would be.
Although the current Emperor is in Code A.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you can be Emperor anywhere. An Emperor in exile, I like to say. And again, thanks for joining us. This is, of course, the Clash of Houses. We're watching an in-house tournament with Incredible Miracle. All the players that live in the house did participate in this. Again, I am Doa casting with Startail Torch today for the CyberSportsNetwork. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're enjoying it quite a bit. I know I am.
I am as well. It'd be nice if
good.
Everyone in the world was on the same time zone, but these are problems that we can't fix quite yet until everyone gets on Korean time.
Yeah, someday when everybody moves to Korea. Because it's not crowded enough in Seoul, Korea. Alright, so we're about to get this game going. It's going to be on Metalopolis. It's going to be I'm Yoda versus I'm Pippijung, otherwise known as I'm King. Again, Metalopolis is the map, the classic map. And let's do it. Alright, so here we have our red Protoss player, I'm King, spawning up at the 12 o'clock position. His opponent is going to be our Terran player, the only Terran player in the tournament, I'm Yoda, spawning as our blue Terran over at the 9 o'clock position. And it looks like close positions on Metalopolis again. So, kind of crazy how we do the old map one time and everybody spawns in close positions. You know, back on the ladder, though, that's really how it worked. It's like if you were going to play Metalopolis, it was going to be close positions.
That was what Sen was saying, too, is if he plays, because he's Zerg, he's always going to get some close spawns.
That's true. It's very true. Alright. So, the question is, are either player going to, or is either player going to take advantage of this? Grammar is very tough for me today, apparently. Protoss could, of course, 4-gate. Terran could, of course, 3-gate. A lot of, or not 3-gate, 3 racks. A lot of people have actually kind of forgotten about the 3 racks opening that Terran can do. It is kind of all-in-ish. You really can't comfortably expand out of it. But around the 7-minute mark, you have a very, very strong push coming out with about 50 food worth of Marines and Marauders. Stim should still be done, even with the new, longer stim timing, although I haven't tested it myself. But in these close positions, I mean, depending on the force fields of your opponent, it can be pretty good. And if your opponent's 4-gating, they're not going to have a lot of sentries, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's very true, and if you can get in their base, you essentially win. But those sentries can be warped in instantly, force field and ramp, and then you lose half your army. It's quite unfortunate. Now, the more common thing to do is just hold them in their base, prevent them from expanding. If you can get an expansion behind that push, you really have a little bit of a lead. And the great thing about Terran is you can build that expansion inside your base. You can make sure it's safe before moving out to your actual expansion location.
Yeah, that does give you a huge advantage as a Terran player. So far, things being pretty standard, though, for each one. 2 gas, that's a very early 2nd gas, actually, possibly just putting it down to prevent the Terran player from stealing it. Because usually, if you see a gas that early from a Protoss player, a 2nd gas, a lot of times that suggests DTs. But in this case, I really have a feeling it was more just to kind of keep Terran from stealing it.
Perhaps that, or
maybe not.
It's not just DTs. You can also just go for a lot of gas-heavy builds. A lot of times...
Isn't that more around like 20 food or so?
That's about when it was. It was a little bit earlier.
It was 18, I think.
Getting out the sentries early, if you get a lot of them, you can force the Terran away from your base, or you can actually go for a kill move right there. It's not the standard 4-gate, but you are still very, very aggressive for any sort of fast expansion from the Terran. However, we are seeing a somewhat fast factory go up here. A little bit slower refinery, normal timing, I think it was on 19. From here, he can actually... Oh, he might be getting Hellions, which would be awesome. But
could be Hellion
unlikely.
expand. Could also be Cloak Banshees as well, I suppose. And there's the starport. So I would have to imagine it's probably going to be Cloak Banshees. It is only one starport. We're probably going to see a tech lab come out on that factory pretty soon. There it is. All right. I love it when I'm like right on. Oh yeah. So we are going to see Banshees, unless he's rushing for Hunter Seeker Missile.
But we do have a 4-gate coming here from the Protoss player.
Well, here's the thing, is that Cloak Banshees really are kind of the quote-unquote hard counter to 4-gate, because a 4-gate doesn't include a robo base. So if you do get Cloak and the Banshee out, and you micro carefully, there's nothing that the Protoss can do to stop him from killing everything he has. So
That is very true.
Yeah. So
And it really comes down to these bunkers. You really need to keep this one bunker alive, or actually get a second one just to be safe. If you can do that and get Cloak out, but unfortunately it doesn't have the gas to be able to do that quite yet.
Not planning on getting Cloak, maybe no. Another tech lab, possibly going tanks as well. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit too slow. I like to get 2 bunkers if I'm teching just to be safe. A lot of SCVs
brings the
pulled off.
mule. That is a big mistake. You do not want to bring that into a fight. It repairs at the same exact rate as an SCV, but it mines at almost about 5 times the rate.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was almost extinct
almost dead
anyway.
anyway.
So.
The warranty was almost expired on that mule. So right now, it looks like I'm King wants to push up with kind of a 4-gate type composition. Very light 4-gate though, because he is also getting a Twilight Council from Robo Bay. Yeah, this obviously is not going to be able to do anything. Oh, almost losing a Stalker. Gets it away just in time there, but when that second bunker finishes, he's not going to be able to push up at all.
And he is actually getting a robo facility up. This can get you an observer so you don't die to Cloak, but he's also getting a Twilight Council, so he's most likely going for Blink here. This Blink can then be used at pretty much any cliff from the Terran's main base because of the observer. It's very powerful to do that. You can avoid these bunkers here. The Terran's being a little over-defensive because he saw 4-gate.
Yeah, he doesn't need those SCVs at all right now. He needs them to mine is what he needs them to do, but they're right now sitting expecting to repair. But really just kind of taking a breather, really, more than anything. Looks like there's a Banshee up at the top of the map, though, up around the 12 o'clock position, trying to do some damage. It's taken quite a bit already, and hasn't really been able to do a whole lot to the Protoss player.
Yeah, it has gotten 5 kills here, but that's pretty much the cost of the Banshee.
Yeah.
However, the main benefit is it gives you the tech to be able to get out the Raven. Once you get up enough energy for a point defense drone, you can do a very aggressive build with Marines and tanks. You move out, you force the Protoss to defend his ramp, and then you throw down a point defense drone. From there, you have the vision to be able to do a lot of damage. You can also get tanks up to this position. If you get siege mode, you can hit their mineral line right from there. So you don't even need to push into a Protoss base on Metalopolis. And he's very lucky. He gets this Banshee out. He can bring it home. He can repair it, bringing it back to full capability at only a quarter of the cost. However, we do have some Blink Stalkers moving across the field. They're not blinked quite yet, but they will be in 30 seconds. So, very interesting to see how this fight turns out.
Now, I'm kind of curious about the decision to get Siege Mode by Yoda. Usually if you're going to do that Tank, Marine, Raven, Banshee timing push, you usually don't get Siege Mode. You usually move out about right now, actually, with that. So I think he wants to play extremely safe. I kind of feel like he wants to expand, with Siege Mode not finished quite yet. It is going to get finished at about the same time that Blink does. Blink finishing a little bit earlier. Here comes all the Stalkers. No Siege Mode. Those tanks are probably going to get focused down if he's not very careful. Stalkers are going to try to blink behind the mineral line, take out as many SCVs as possible. But no, they're actually going to get stuck trying to take out the Raven. The Raven barely escapes. No point defense drone from the Raven, and I meant Banshee when I said Raven. Blinking down away, so nice hold from Yoda there, not losing really anything for that. Not losing a tank, Raven, or Banshee. Oh, except for that one. But that one wasn't in the base. It doesn't count. I was only talking about ones in the base.
So Yoda was a little premature with his point defense drone.
Yeah.
The reason for that is he might have just wanted to be extra safe and save the siege mode that was researching.
Yeah, and the tanks as well, I think.
Otherwise, you don't really want to throw it down in a position like that with where you want to put the point defense drone is where you want to force a battle to happen. So there's got to be a reason for the Protoss to be engaging you where that point defense drone is, or they can just avoid you and not have any problems. So now we have this very large Marine and tank force moving across. The Stalkers can push away, or can blink away, but the thing is that once you get the tanks in siege mode right below their cliff, or could actually move right above the cliff, depending on what he wants to do here, you force the Protoss to come to you, completely negating most of the power of blink.
So force field right now on the ramp from our Protoss player. That's the only thing keeping him alive right now, really. Getting another nice force field down there, but now he's going to need to bring in some more sentries. In the meantime, an attack at the main base of Yoda. That tank is probably going to go down very, very quickly. It is indeed. Bunker's completely unmanned right now, and that point defense drone not really helping at all because it's completely out of energy, rather. Banshee trying to escape is probably going to get away. They're not going to get away. Banshee in the meantime giving vision to the tanks. There's another blink to try to take out the Banshee, and this time it works. SCV is trying to take out those Stalkers, and Yoda being very, very passive right now. He needs to be aggressive. It looks like he's going to try to mass repair that tank. Doesn't even need to. The SCVs go back to mining right now. And Yoda in a pretty good position, although those siege tanks need that vision. The Banshee getting very, very low right now, somehow managing to live, and now there are Marines on the high ground. The tank will be able to start firing. And all in all, it's such a back and forth game, but at this particular second, things are looking pretty good for the Terran player.
Yeah, he did lose a few workers there, but he isn't behind at all in work count, and he is going to be able to take down a lot with these siege tanks here on the cliff. Once you get the vision up there with the Marine group and the Banshee, you are going to be able to force the Protoss to attack you very, very quickly, whether he wants to or not, because if he doesn't, you're going to lose your entire mineral line and lose the game anyway. Fortunately, the Marines' forces was enough, and all the Stalkers are taken down, and then it is going to be GG.
Wow, so
after some PM.
Some chatting. GG, there it is. I'm Yoda takes game 1. Our only Terran player manages to win his first game. If he wins again, it'll put him in a good position to possibly even get to the finals.
It's very true. Should be able to make replay playlists.
What, so they just like load one after the other? That would be
Oh
pretty
no.
good. What?
I'm actually missing a replay.
What? Which one?
The third one of the series.
Wait, I thought I saw it.
Oh, I got it. Cool. Crisis averted.
Alright. Awesome.
And for any of you wondering at home why this takes so long, it is because this is on an old patch, so it does have to reload the client every time. And every time the client reloads, I have to resize the window, move it over to a different monitor, and resize it back up, which takes a little bit of time. So here we are, finally. Alright, game 3 for I Am Yoda versus I Am Pippijung, also known as I Am King. It will be played on Xel'Naga Caverns. So, here we go. And Doa is dying here from too much casting.
Oh no, I'm not dying from too much casting. I'm dying from too much excitement because it's game 3 between Yoda and this Protoss player, sometimes called King, the artist formerly known as Pippijung, spawning as our red Protoss player up at the top of Xel'Naga Caverns. His opponent, of course, is going to be I'm Yoda, spawning as a blue Terran, but really he should be green, I feel.
He should be green. I don't know why everyone always chooses red versus blue. It's quite boring.
Yeah, it is. But you know, if it's green versus red, then colorblind people would have a hard time telling the players apart.
That's true.
Well, depending on the type of color blindness anyway, but something to consider, I suppose. But yeah, I think Yoda should still be green either way. So again, TVP, we're 1-1. Question is, who's going to win the important game, the game that decides the entire match? Now, Banshee openings versus Protoss, I mean, they're okay, but you really are kind of gambling a lot that Banshee is going to be able to do quite a bit of damage, because if it's not, you're suddenly, stuck in a position where you've invested quite a bit in this unit that did really nothing for you, and you're weak to any sort of aggression that Protoss is going to do. So, as you can tell, I'm not a huge fan of Banshee openings versus Protoss. They're legit. I do them myself once in a while, but I do prefer to open Bio instead.
Yeah, Bio is very versatile. You are able to defend against a lot of different things. You can, if you get the 2 bunkers up, you can defend against 4-gate relatively easily. If not, you can put on a bit of pressure. You can also defend against Stargates if you micro well, which pro gamers are able to do quite well.
You bet they are. That probe being microed around, not losing more than a couple hit points. Shields are starting to regenerate. That's always the sign of a good Protoss player, to keep that probe alive for a long time, harass, and yet not really lose much more than the shields. So nice job there.
Yep, pretty standard openings here from both players. Nothing too crazy, just barracks first as usual. Orbital command's almost done. Marine doing a little dance on the ramp to try to prevent any scouting from the probe. What was interesting was the Protoss actually scouted a little bit early for this map. He knew exactly the position because it is only a 2-player map, but he sent the probe early anyway. A little bit of mismicro there. Yoda let that probe in a little bit further than it should have. Reactor going down now to try to get out a few extra Marines. Because there's no second barracks, he's most likely going to be going for a fast expansion, using the reactor to be able to get out the Marines to be able to stay alive. And here we got 400 minerals, and the second expansion does go up.
There it is. Now,
second command center.
Now, some people kind of question getting that reactor first, just because it takes a little while for you to produce enough Marines to make the reactor worth it. If you don't feel like you're going to be under any pressure, then it's okay to do, but still a little bit risky. I think when he saw that 2 gas, he realized that it probably wasn't going to be anything like the 4-gate, and he had the time to get that reactor, which is going to benefit him, in a little bit. Looks like 1-gate robo, though, for King.
Yeah, he does get out the sentry, so he is able to defend against any sort of really early bio-aggression by using the force field on the ramp. And now the early robo, he can get out either a fast Colossus or just get out scout early to know exactly what the Terran's doing. Not exactly the best thing to do in this situation, because the fast second command center is going to really accelerate the economy of Yoda as soon as he gets finished. Now Yoda is supply blocked temporarily. I believe this is intentional because he is throwing on 2 extra barracks and going to wait until this orbital command finishes. And as soon as that does, he's going to have a huge supply boost moving into right before he expands.
Yeah, so this is kind of one of the very, very safe openings you can do in TVPs, getting those 2 tech labs. And he's going to push out a little bit later, and what you can do a lot of times is you can hit that really kind of a sweet spot timing, I like to call it, where if you move out with a big bioforce, this is of course before you get medevacs and everything, if you can hit them right before they get their first Colossus, or even right as they get their first Colossus, a lot of times they won't have what it takes to defend against that push, and you can at least kill their natural or do, a lot of damage to them. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can out and out kill them, but of course, at this point in the game, the idea of attacks isn't to kill the player, it's to set yourself up for a better economy. If you, really want to become good at the game, you don't go for that early kill, you go for something that hurts your opponent.
And that better economy is definitely going to be coming in Yoda's favor very shortly if I Am King doesn't do any sort of hurt like you're talking about. I Am King is positioned with a lot of sentries to be able to defend, but that's not really what he needs to be doing right now, because the second command center is going to be producing double the mules, which even though he's down by 5 workers, he's actually up in income. So
those are mules.
Those are mules, and because of the 2 command centers, if he actually starts producing on out of them, he will be able to get quite a bit of an income. However, he's choosing to delay a little bit, get a lot of extra bio units, get both stim and combat shield at the same time.
Probably a good idea.
That is a very good idea, and you can do a very strong timing attack as soon as both of those finish.
Oh, a bunch of sentries and only one zealot coming down. That could actually die very, very quickly to the bio. Of course, the force fields are cause for concern, but at the same time, again, only one zealot. Looks like Yoda does decide to pull back. Of course, Yoda, one of the basic tenets he always talks about is patience, right? So, it's Yoda being Yoda. Oh, looks like a Bioforce coming to the natural, though, of our Protoss player. Is King ready for it? The Bio actually walking right in like they own the place. They're going to take out the Robo Bay very, very quickly. Probably go to work on the 2 pylons after that. And that is going to depower every single gateway that he has. This could be really, really bad. No, instead going after the probes. But there's also an attack going down at the natural as well. Bunkers did not finish in time. The Bio trap behind many, many force fields. Still a lot of sentries. That's a very low DPS army for that Protoss player to attack with. I think Yoda's going to come out ahead of this. Yes, he's going after the Nexus right now. If he can take that out, he can prevent a lot of economy from going out. Sorry that sentence didn't quite work out. I'm actually a little bit surprised he's not going to the pylons myself. SCV's coming off the line, trying to go after those Stalkers. He's going to lose a lot of gathers, but in return, there it is, GG. And Yoda wins it after that Nexus goes down. King, realizing that he didn't really have the economy or the manpower to kind of hold off when those 2 Bioforces joined together. I can't believe that King's concentration slipped and that Bioforce got in there. You almost never see something